Hello, everybody. Yes, in a much better mood already. Just got back from the gym and I have a lot of dirt. No, and just I went and took care of something that it was bothering me. It needed to happen. And it's funny. You leave it vague like that. It sounds like, oh my God, did you just go kill somebody? Well, no, you haven't been listening. I don't do anything illegal, but it's kind of funny because maybe there was a time when I'd say like, "Oh, I gotta go handle a thing, or I gotta go do a thing," and it might have been something. But no, I'm just kidding. No, it's you see enough TV, you start acting like it. Bad television. Oh, Boondock Saints, great movie. Willem Dafoe says this is the type of thing you see in bad television, because it just seems so ridiculous that, and it's like kind of the writers like putting themselves down and kind of like laughing at themselves, but then also at the same time, because the whole writer strike too, that's something that you kind of need to be aware of. People are striking, they're not making enough money writing, but then here's the thing: maybe there's not enough money being made from the writing to pay the writers. See, that's that trickle down. We don't know these things. All we see are people protesting, and then the evil corporations are taking all the money, and then rich, wealthy. All it is it's perception. Perception is reality. And my dad used to have a Zippo that said, "Perception is reality." Like exactly that. And he yeah, it's a very profound concept. So your perception is your reality. So if you're having a bad day, then hey, guess what? You're probably going to have a bad day. And I know that for a fact. So say you're in a bad mood, right? We've all been there. And you try to break something. That's why I love TikToks. If I wasn't so mistrusting with China right now, I'd become a TikToker. Granted, I'm also trying to interact with Chinese government right now as well. So I trust them as much as I want to give them suggestions, but I don't trust them as much as, they're still, ugh. We got to get past that. We got to get past the mistrust. And what it is it's delayed mistrust from whatever hardship or bad thing happened. And it's like a ripple effect. And we only see so much, like the business end of something coming through. And it's like, oh, if you look at the big picture, the macroeconomic or the macro level view, America just invaded the Middle East for 20 years, killed over hundreds of thousands of people. Hundreds of thousands of people. I'll say that again. About 175,000 civilians. That's the people we killed. They're dead. They are no longer gracing this earth. They are ceased to be. Sorry, that's like a Monty Python thing. Kind of joking, kind of half not. We think about these things like, oh, Ukraine and all this, and oh, we got to invade Russia and all that. I'm just kidding. We're not invading Russia, but now we're kind of encouraging Ukraine to attack Russia, and that seems kind of messed up. But then it was also messed up that Russia invaded, and then it's also messed up that if the election wasn't free and fair, or even if it's perceived to not have been free and fair, because remember, perception is reality. It doesn't matter if it was rigged or not. People believe it was, and now we're learning that firsthand, the effect of that with January 6th. It wasn't a rigged election, but people believe it was, and that's all it takes. And here's how I know, because if it was rigged, it would have been all over the news, just like the hanging chads. If the GOP or the Republican Party had any shred of evidence of actual election fraud, it will come forward. And there was. There was a couple small cases of election fraud that were tried and charged. People got in trouble for trying both sides of the aisle. It was Republicans and Democrats. So there was election interference. And then same with Russia. But that's giving a lot of heavy lifting to Russia. I learned in my cybersecurity class the extent of the Russian meddling and interference. Their campaigns were social media campaigns that were about as effective as me lying on social media. That was it. They studied human behavior and they manipulated human behavior, social engineering through social media. Was it illegal? No. Was it immoral? Absolutely. But what else isn't? Sales, marketing, advertising, sex sells. We see commercials and we think that's how real life is. And that alters our perception of what reality is supposed to be, thus making it more impossible to achieve the American dream. Sorry, that was a big long rant to say, hey, I went to the gym and you need to alternate physical and mental wellness to be truly healthy. And that's the thing. I worked myself into a mental breakdown not too long ago, a couple years back, and I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't sleeping. I was on a prescription for, and we'll go into that more in depth eventually. But for now, just know that I do have experience with mental health, mental wellness, mental illness, and how it's temporary. Same with substance abuse. I used to drink a lot of alcohol. Now, was I an alcoholic? I don't like to think so because that's pigeonholing me into a label to where people like, oh, alcoholic. And it's sad because back in the day we had to rely on things like that, like doctors and stuff. But, and I noticed a friend of mine said that, as soon as I told them about one of my friends dying in a motorcycle accident, I mentioned that they were on probation and just dismissively, not trying to be mean. Like they're just like, oh, substance abuse, yeah, okay. Like, because it made sense to them. And then in their universe, their perception, it was all right. But to me, I was just like, wait a minute. Like, what does that have anything to do with it? Like, I mean, but it is a sad truth because anybody who's in the judicial system has a harder time. That's just fact. Like, and then guess who has the hardest time? Illegal immigrants. Oh, okay. So people that are already fleeing the cartels and some dangerous people, and they really are like that. There are people down there killing. That's why I love Breaking Bad so much. Not because I love that there's people killing down there, but because it is so real, and it is real. And we need these pieces of communication to translate, like, hey, this is really going on. We need to pay attention to this. Whereas if it's just on the news, they can say it in any way, breaking news and all this. Of course, they have to have their fanfare to have a good show and to get the good ratings. Because before, if you didn't have good ratings, you didn't have a show and you didn't get paid. And then nobody got paid, writers or actors or, any of that. So yeah, it all makes sense if you think about it. And even if you don't think about it that way. And see, that's the other thing too. Like, I was also thinking about how people joke about movie stars. Oh, whoops, wait, I did not set an alarm. No, I did not. Almost 7 minutes in. I'm sorry. Bear with me. Bear with me. One of these days they're going to be like, no, A-Rye, we will not bear with you. No, so like 7 minutes, it's about that. So that would be 18, 25. 5:05. There we go. Okay. Just like trying to do some algebra casually on the sly in my head. Because basically, 23 minutes from now, we got 7. I was correct, or at least correct enough. That's one thing that I love from my geology professor. He said, good enough for government work. And that stuck with me. And that resonates too with like all of these teachings because what we're talking about is the government isn't as skilled as you think. Like they don't have it together. They like to pretend that they have it together, but they don't have it together. I mean, they have it together enough to kill you or invade a country or cause a lot of destruction, but to actually solve the problem permanently and scalably, no, I don't think we have that capability. And it's no slight on ours. We've had every resource possible except for time and patience and opportunity. See, opportunity costs. Something that you would learn taking business classes and I'm not trying to put this in anyone's face. I'm just explaining like the reason that I understand this concept is because I went to a university and I got a degree. Now, that is an important thing to point out. Something else that I was thinking about, like people that tend to be more educated tend to be more pompous. And why is that? Well, because it's hard work to become educated. You have to study, you have to attend classes, you have to listen to people for hours on end, and then you have to get ranked on how much you listened and how well you listened and how much time you dedicated to learning something. So it's not a walk in the park. And like, that's why I kind of get mad at people that think, well, I don't want to pay for someone's lesbian theory degree. Okay, well, first of all, they probably didn't get a degree in that. And if they did, they wasted their money. Second of all, why do we have a degree like that to where somebody could trap themselves and waste money? So it has to be useful, and shame on anyone who accredits a degree like that, unless you're talking fashion. So then, okay, so wait a minute. Like maybe there is a reason to having certain studies, or maybe you're going to work for the ACLU. And I've heard them pop up a lot, like people angry at the ACLU because they support pedophiles is a big thing, and it drives me nuts when people like just start throwing around that word. It's like, do you understand the weight of what you're saying? Like, because if you did understand the weight of what you were saying, you wouldn't be saying it, is basically my take on this. Except for when they really mean it. Like, there are really concerns about people doing that sort of thing. And then you see evidence like, what is that? The attracted persons to minorly attracted persons or something like that. And it's like, oh, no. And that's the thing, and that's the training that corrections has, is these people have an addiction, have a disease, and then, okay, of course, if you tell them that, then they're going to believe that. I mean, you're the expert, you're correcting them. But what if we understood a little better? What if we realize that it isn't really a sickness or a disease, like it's not some black mark and we need to just kill them outright and waste life? No, what if it's situation, circumstance? Because again, saying somebody has a disease, like saying someone has an addiction, oh, and that, like, that's right up there with the devil, in my opinion, because you're basically attributing power and control to an unseen, unknown entity like terrorism or, the war on drugs. Like, let's go have war on these things. Like, no, wait, these drugs are making people wake up and realize that we've been doing it wrong. Because who does a lot of drugs? Comedians. Yeah. Who has the most answers? Comedians. Like, who really brings about change? Comedians. Jesters. Jokers. Gangbangers. And see, that's the funny thing. Okay, wait, now you're making a stretch. Well, okay, so in the Latin gangs, there's the Sureños, the Southside Jokers. And, and that, I thought that was hilarious and awesome. Oh, look how cute. I'm just kidding. Nothing like that. Please don't come after me. I was just kidding. But that's why, oh, wait, we don't need to be getting into all that. Maybe at 10 million subscribers, we'll tell you that part of the memoirs, the history. But no, how do I say this? The Jokers. So look at the movie The Joker, the most recent one. If you're a Batman fan, or I'm a Joker fan, the Joker's always been my favorite character because I've always figured that he was misunderstood. And then I see a movie like The Joker, and then I see, oh yeah, totally. And think about it. Like, there is one murder in, okay, sorry, spoilers. If you haven't seen the new Joker movie, I'm going to do some spoilers. So, well, let's just talk about the concept. I mean, I don't need to really spoil the ending because let's just say that the violence in the Joker movie was very minute. It was very minuscule. It was tiny. Like, you think Joker, you think blowing up a hospital, which he did in the Dark Knight Rises. And, like, there's that famous scene. Again, Heath Ledger, who experimented with substances and was struggling with mental illness and mental wellness by playing the Joker, just because he was having, and not just because he was playing the Joker. Why was he playing the Joker? Why did it affect him so much? Because Jack Nicholson said the same thing. It's a pattern. People have a hard time playing the Joker because the Joker starts making sense. And that's why. And that's why it's so profound, is because, and not because, like, oh, we need to go anarchy and dismantle the established. No. But that is what a lot of people in England did. Like, the rebels, the punk rockers, like, they got so fed up with the way things were being handled. And even the new Spider-Man movie nails it. Like, heavy is the head that wears the crown. Well, the person in charge is also the person that's accountable. Like, it's your name on it. That's why, any of this president stuff, I'm a little lenient to really, like, throw stones at that, because it's like, wait a minute. First off, that's a nauseating job, like being accountable for everything. If the world blows itself up, it's your fault. And forever in history, people will know, hey, there's the idiot that killed everybody. Like, so yeah, no pressure. But at the same time, we changed the job so much. And so it's interesting. It's almost like we need to have presidential classes, but for mainstream. Oh, wait, we do. We have civ and politics. And okay, we need to make sure that the basic, the lowest, the worst education is adequate to become the president. Because that's how. And actually, I saw Vivek Ramaswamy saying something like, the measure of freedom is how much you can say in public, or is what you can say in public and feel comfortable saying in public. Like, okay, that's a horrible take, because there needs to be a caveat, like, what you currently think might not have all of the pieces. And that's the biggest thing between our two political parties, is they don't have all the pieces, both sides. I mean, like I was discussing with that person, they were saying, why would a civilian need a gun? Okay, right there, you don't know what it's like to live in the country. Okay, well, what does that mean? Well, it is kind of the Wild West in some places. And, if you're not careful, and poor people might rob you, and you might need a gun. And then, but wait, you're also poor. So you're protecting yourself against yourself, like poor people, your own demographic. And so that's why we get so confused. And even the people doing the crimes, they're confused because they don't understand. And then they're surprised because they're like, wait, I'm the villain? And it's that, wait, what happened there? That was interesting. I heard the sound, and I don't think maybe it was those two. I was like, usually that only happens when it's placed. But anyways, and now we're going under. The whole point of this was to make the whole jaw brown, just to prove on camera the game mechanics to a game that can be programmed and altered. Like, of course, at the drop of the hat, they could change it and they can make it feel, it was like that all along. But anyways, no, so now we have still a lot of gray on this jaw. We're going to turn it green. And look, we've already burned through most of our dirt. That's It takes a lot of resources to cover this. Same with a lot of resources to whitewash history and the purpose of doing so. Okay, it's pride. We are prideful. We are a prideful people. We don't like to be proven wrong. I mean, that's just not our thing. Like, it's embarrassing and it's unpleasant. And see, and that's the thing is like, how it's everything's a trade-off. Like, what's your comfort level for being a good person? And like I was in Boy Scouts. Um, I didn't make it to an Eagle Scout, mind you, and I know people that have, and they're very proud of that fact. But that's also why I don't care. I mean, it's a major accomplishment, but it's anybody can do it. Just anybody can graduate high school, anybody can graduate college. And so that's why I'm a little more like, I don't care about people that get excited about graduating high school. I mean, yes, let's celebrate. And I realize that some people don't, but like now, do you realize like you do need to celebrate these things, but it can't stop. Like you can never stop. And I think that's what the people think is like, once you've reached this accomplishment, then you no longer have to work on yourself. You no longer have to do anything. And so you're done. I'm done, And it's like, no. Well, the world isn't done. If you're done, go lay in a grave and, die. But like, don't really do that because I don't want anyone to die. What I'm saying is like, if you're going to just resign to the fact that you don't need any more improvement, you're perfect the way you are, you finally made it and you can never be infallible, that's dangerous. I mean, that's how we have problems with religion. That's how we have problems with government. That's how we have problems in the world, period, is the good enough mantra. Like, it's close enough. Or, it can never be, well, okay, sorry. We can't really deal in absolutes. Only the Sith deal in absolutes, which in itself is an oxymoron, which is kind of funny. Because it's like, only the Sith deal in absolutes. Well, wait, only is an absolute. It's an absolute assessment. So, I don't know. Communication. Communication is key. We can keep saying that all day. Also, I don't know about the wisdom of using grass blocks on the edge here. I don't think there's a lot of wisdom to it because I don't know if the grass disappears. See, like that. Or if it stays. I mean, we can test it by this one block. 2 blocks. Okay, if we come back and there are not 2 blocks on the farthest corner of the jaw, the southwest corner of the jaw, then we'll know. We'll come back and check on that a little bit. Or even better, if we can find evidence. And see, this is what people do when they do archaeology and they go for a dig. Like, they're looking for evidence. And then there's the argument, well, God planted dinosaur fossils to test us. Like, really? Really? Okay, well, let's say that's true. I would also say God wrote some ridiculous things in the Bible to test us as well, just to see if we'd really believe it, if we'd really fall for it. Because again, I think that if there's aliens, I think it's people. I mean, I think we are the aliens. We're just on a different planet. And like, once we find the other planets with people on them, we'll be like, oh, hey, what's up? It'll be just like, okay, maybe there'll be slight differences. Like even on this planet, we have different skin colors, we have different beliefs, we have different, like slight variations, but nothing to the point of like, 15 arms or like, or a blob. Well, then again, maybe, who knows? But I like to think that our patterns are the same because we are all space dust from the same matter, same elements. And that's what we've learned from flying our little space machines, sorry, that's like an understatement. By flying probes to other planets and then taking samples of what the elements are, then we're learning about what these other planets are made up of. And we need to share that knowledge. Like, that's why we have the International Space Station. Like, it is meant to be like, hey, we all need to be part of this. Like, all hands on deck, basically. But then it's like the petty squabbles in between. And that's why, like, and I hate it because I should just get TikTok and trust the Chinese government. I'll do it once they legalize weed. Like, that's my mark in the sand. And I've told them that. And I'm like, hey, you do this, we're going to have world peace, and here's how. And it's so true because, and even if you don't have world peace, you at least have a better world to where we can figure it out. I mean, if your population can enjoy something other than alcohol, and that's my reasoning there. Like, if you already have alcohol as legal, then you have no business keeping marijuana illegal. Like, that's just the thing. It's safer. It's been proven that just in the DUI deaths, it is safer for your community, for your family, for your country. But that's not enough because then people say, "Oh, it's the devil," or "Oh, it's," and it's not banned by the Bible either. Genesis 4:12 or something, and Cypress Hill sings this in a song or has this in a song. It says, "I have given you all the seed-bearing plants and herbs to use." Right there, God's mouth said, "Do this." Now, God also said stuff like, "Don't overdo it," like with drinking. I think is what they're really talking about. But then even that, like think about the ridiculous fallacy of giving alcohol to people every Sunday. Like here, have a sip of the devil. Oh, because you need us to save you from the devil. Like basically, because when you think about what alcohol is, it's rotten liquid. It's a rotten substance. It's preparing to die. And it's like, I mean, it's rotten fruit. It's like the stuff ready to break down the fruit, decompose it, get it ready, bury it, kill it, like all of these things. And yet we drink it and we laugh because it slightly impairs us. It slightly kills us. Like it kills us a little every time. And then we regain, like we regenerate, like, oh, okay, we're back to normal. Like our body, but we can only do that so many times before our body starts failing, like the liver starts failing or, your heart starts failing because it's had to start and stop so many times. That's a bit of an exaggeration and not accurate, by the way. Anyone with like a medical background would be like, no, that's not true. Like none of that's true. But the point is you're being hard on your body when you drink. And we accept this. We accept this as a calculable loss for our happiness, our enjoyment. But why? Why do we do this? Well, because it's been that way forever. And inertia says that an object in motion will stay in motion unless external forces are applied to it. And these are basic physics fundamentals too. And I'm not a physicist. I have no idea about physics, except I know enough about gravity to know that gravity holds everything together. It's not a god. Like, God didn't do it. Or maybe they did. Maybe God built it. But then what is God? Is it Lisa Simpson? Is it a bunch of aliens playing marbles with our universe? Like, sorry, those are spoilers for another movie, but I won't say which. And then it's funny because that's not really a spoiler, just because you'll be watching the movie, and you'll be like, wait a minute, that's that movie A-Rye was talking about, if you even remember. I mean, that's the other thing, too. That's carrying a lot of weight, thinking that these will get famous. So, it's that imposter syndrome. I keep feeling guilty because I haven't made a lot of coding videos, but yet here I am explaining how to do coding logic and algorithms in a different way. So there's going to be a certain demographic out there that are going to learn a lot from these videos, have very successful careers, and be very good, and like all that. But then there's going to be a demographic that just doesn't get it. Like, these are dumb. Like, oh, and let's talk about that. So I feel really bad. Someone commented on a video, and I really want everybody to feel like they can comment. So I'm trying not to be like a prick about it. But he said, good job. Good job on third. And again, it's like, they could be a real congratulations. Like, oh, wait, just you wait. And that's basically what I said. It's like, oh, yeah, haha, like, I have one that I have a double crown victory royale. It really was. It was my first attempt, but the kids were sleeping, so I had to be quiet. And so, I'm not talking through the whole thing. It's just the gameplay. And that's how a lot of my videos are, if you had noticed. And that's going to be a grand reveal. That's going to be hilarious. But anyways, no, and now I feel like I'm saying too much. No, it's good. But no, so I'm decent at video games. I'm not the best at Fortnite. I mean, I'm pretty good. I'm not trash, but then I am trash. I have my moments. And I would say, and that's actually why I stopped. I only did the one Fortnite video because I wasn't on a roll. I got third the second time. The first time I got like 36, and I was like, you know what? That's fine. And I think the person was genuinely encouraging me, being like, hey, so it's all good. I subscribed to him anyway, because that's the thing. It costs nothing to subscribe or like. So I'm just like, boom. He had the courage, or she, I don't know. They had the courage, because I don't think there was any real profile picture. So again, misgendering people is a real thing, and that's fine. People that are kind of used to the YouTube, Twitch, and social media scene understand that. And for a lot of people, a lot of the things I say is redundant and boring, but I'm really saying it for the people out there that don't understand. Like Hilltop Hoods, oh gosh, they're a great music group from Australia, hippity hop group. They rap about a lot of substance abuse, destroyed lives, very important concepts, and they're very entertaining too. Like, oh yeah, I've just got the songs in my head now. But what was my point of that? They have some really profound things, and they communicate them very well, is what's important about all that. And I bring them up because, sorry, now I'm trying to retrace my steps. Like, what was I even thinking, 10 seconds ago? I'm just kidding. It's bad, but you also got to remember I'm multitasking. I'm playing a game, and I'm also thinking like, what do I want to do? Like I'm doing feng shui with like basically my memorial thing. Oh, and I don't have any grass, so but I am chopping down trees. Still waiting for petals to accumulate. So like at the time, like at any given time, I've got all of these different thoughts and processes going on in the back of my mind. So if it seems like I'm a space cadet, and and I hate it because a lot of people be like, "Oh wait, didn't he say he used to smoke marijuana back in high school?" Oh yeah, and I got a higher grade on my ACT. I got a higher grade on my ASVAB. I got a 97th percentile stoned. Like the Marines wanted me bad. It was interesting. Like um, I wanted to be in the Marines. I really did. It didn't work out. So, and that's a whole nother story, which is kind of funny, but not. I mean, it's not funny, but then it is. Again, 10 million subscribers. No, I'm just kidding. Because even then, like, it's like the Ace Ventura movie. Like, if you were me, then I'd be you. Then I'd use your body to get to the top. You can't stop me no matter who you are. And that's just it, too. Same with, like, the Revolution in France. Like, you know, do you hear the people singing the song of angry people, but they say angry men. But really, and it's a woman singing, too, which is funny. You know, just shows the sexism, the blatant sexism back in the day. But then that wasn't also... Wait, sorry, I thought I saw a cow. Anyways, and it wasn't intentional, a lot of it. It was just the way things were. Like, men went off to fight wars. Like, women stayed home and were protected. Like, every culture did that. Just like the Islam culture is to protect women and treat them like queens. And I totally get that. And I totally feel like they think that that's what they're doing. But then they realize, wait a minute, this is how we've been doing things for a while, but maybe it's not like this. And that's why I really like the new Crown Prince. Like, he's awesome. The first, and not just him, whoever's helping him, like, granted, he's got a lot of flack because people would rather focus on how he killed, what, one person? I mean, and again, if you watch Rick and Morty, like, the president comes out and says, and he rationalizes two people getting killed in a parking lot, but then they had spider peace. Basically, it ended the war. And so for the greater good, they put themselves, the deaths of those two people, which granted, mind you, those people kind of had it coming. Like, if you watch that episode, the two people approach the car, and the first guy's like, hey you, what, you think you're better than me? So again, right there, that tells me that person could just be having a bad day, you know, and they're just trying to ask a simple question, but then they don't understand that the person they're trying to ask is scared, and then they take that personally. And so right there, you can pick apart that, and then we kind of laugh and think that, oh, that wouldn't really happen. Oh, it does. It happens every day. Like, misunderstandings, miscommunications. And that's why, you know, I've been so successful in a lot of social situations, because I'll take a second and think, be like, hey, wait a minute. And then I'll even ask a clarifying question, be like, so, hey, and granted, I've always looked a little scary and a little intimidating because, I mean, I've always been a little bigger because I grew up in the gym. Like, if you want to play football, you have to lift weights. And if you want to play good football, like, be good at it, get the recognition, get the praise, the glory, then you have to do a really good job. So there's a lot of work and effort that goes into that. Same with going to church, being a good member of the church. I was, you know, I like to throw out, like, I was the acolyte for my church. I brought the light of Christ in. You know, I led the service. Granted, I wasn't the preacher, and of course they were the more important person. But if you think about it, there was a little bit of importance, and that was just, I just showed up. Like, that's what it was. There was nothing special about me. It was just, I kept coming when a lot of kids stopped coming, and we started to notice a trend. Like, given the option, no kid wanted to be there, and no dad really wanted to be there either. Because it's like, it was more of like a woman thing. And sorry, that sounds really sexist, but let me explain. Because on average, a man's attention span is even less than a woman's. On average. So not all. I mean, it's not saying a blanket statement, but on average, because we're not supposed to. We're not supposed to fixate on little details. We're supposed to follow the rules and fall in line. So wherever we work, wherever we go, military, a job, like, it's all about falling in line. And now the women are starting to see that, but yet we're not communicating that on a macro level. It's like, so this is why it's been a patriarchal society, is because we were worried about women dying. Women are important to us as men, so we don't want them dying. So, it's kind of bittersweet, but you're oppressing us. And that's true. Like, not letting them vote, not letting them be, and I even got a peek at this, you know, in my professional career. Someone was explaining to me, because I was going to try to help this end user, and they're like, no, you don't want any of that. Don't worry, I'll take care of it. And then I found out later that, you know, he got in a lot of trouble for something stupid, like stupid. But heavy is the head that wears the crown. And they went ahead and they worked with these people, which were a ticking time bomb. Kind of like in Breaking Bad, how Mike is just like really good at judging people, and he calls it. He says, "Walt, you're a ticking time bomb, and I don't want to be around when you go off." And it's like, it just right there. You've got this seasoned veteran of the military, of the police force, of like reading people, and then seasoned veteran of the criminal aspect. Like, how do you keep law and order when you're supposed to be against the law and order? Like, you still have to be within the confines. So the rules change and the game changes. And then it's like, these are the epitome, like the Olympic sports of people breaking the law. And that's not something I'm trying to applaud. I'm just saying, like, that's how bad it can get given the desperation and the need for such things. And then everything else is just following orders. Like every assassination, every murder in there, same as the Nazis. Like, we wonder, well, how could Germans be so rude and cruel and heartless? And that's probably why Rammstein is so weird. Anyways, we'll get into that in the next one. But actually, I don't know. I might switch to Fortnite because I do have a lot of fun playing Fortnite. But I still got to wait for that video. Oh, and the other thing is, yeah, I got to look into that because, well, anyone that's listening to me, this is kind of a thing. They give a hash or a key of your character user on Fortnite videos. So I got to see what you can do with that key. Maybe let Fortnite know, but it's going to be something. And so, but you should never give your password out. And then you should enable two-factor authentication whenever you can, which I'm kind of disappointed at because I'm trying to do it with freaking Fortnite and it's hard to find. So user story, like it's not easy to find. So maybe that's what I'll do is I'll spend some time. But at the same time, I'm just so frustrated. Like, we have the receipts. We know exactly what I've paid to Fortnite. And if anything were to happen, like, I did not give out my password. I share, and that's the thing is like, who's liable, who's this and that. Well, really, whoever did the stealing gets caught and gets charged at least 5 times what the value was, because that's a scalable way to say, well, we don't have to catch them all. We only have to catch 1/5 of them, and then it's restored. And that's why. So if it feels unfair, if you ever get caught for stealing for something, and actually I did this. We could go ahead and share this. I shoplifted once because I saw my friends do it, and I got busted because I wasn't good at it. I didn't like doing it. It made me uncomfortable. I hate stealing, but I was like, it was what the kids were doing, so I did it. I stole an energy drink, and I paid $97.50 for it. $97.50 for an energy drink. And then I was telling people, man, that was the most expensive energy drink I ever bought. That was stupid. But like at the whole time thinking, oh gosh, why did I do that? I'm such a bad kid. Like, because again, I was raised in the church. I was, I was taught morals. My parents told me right from wrong. And then I also got like the streets too. Like, I was taught how to be a decent person, like with the biker lifestyle and all that. Like, so a couple of tribes of leadership converging together. And I still, and my father, like, he would let me know, like, you never steal. You never call someone gay. You never do this. You never do that. Like, these are things that, like, you'd think, like, a rough, tough biker would be like, who cares about the ferry or something, or say something super offensive about someone that's homosexual. And it's like, no. Like, they were out there. He would be the one looking at the people that were murdering, what was his name? Shepard. Was it Mike Shepard or... See, now I can't remember, and I know I just said it in a video. I think it's Matthew Shepard. But the point is like somebody killed that kid because he was gay, and I'll bet you it wasn't no biker. Like, I mean, because the real ones. But then it could have been because then people portraying or pretending to be something that they're not. And then it's like imposter syndrome there. It'd be like, wait, am I even a real so-and-so? No, I'm just kidding. But like the average mentality of like the biker lifestyle is leave it as you found it, peace, and enforce the law, like, and be there and look out for the little guy in case, like, the law isn't there. Like, all of these things are like that code. But then you have the pirate code, and they're more like guidelines, and it's like, Anyways, common media. But that's 30 minutes. We'll go ahead. Oh, it's 34 minutes. All right. Ta-ta for now. I'll see you in the next one. Actually, wait, look at the map. Now it's starting to change. Is that gray because of rock? Or is that dirt? No, it's still... gray because of rock at this point. I'm just looking at the skull on the mini map before we sign off. Let's see. 'Cause yeah, all of that should be brown, but you can kind of see it in the light better. So I love the, like, let's hold it in the light so like the map actually dims when the light source. See, we're going in here, we're away from the light source. Now it's darker and darker. Now it's getting lighter and lighter. And then we can even aim it at it, and I think it's like direct. Anyways, see you next time. Ta-ta.